Welcome back to Sonic Adventure. Last time we finished off E102 Gamma's campaign, and now we're starting off the last story, Supersonic. In other games it's called Last Story. Supersonic is a little bit misleading, but they serve the same purpose. The only prerequisite for unlocking it in this game is that you complete the other 6 characters' campaigns. As for Supersonic himself, it debuted as an ability for Sonic in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. If you went through all the special stages and got all the Chaos Emeralds and gathered 50 rings within a normal stage, you pressed the jump button, which was pretty much every button back then, and you transform into Supersonic. Supersonic could jump higher, run faster, and was invincible, though it took 1 ring per second to sustain the form. So you start off with 50 seconds and you could get more time if you gather more rings. If you run out of time, you turn back into normal Sonic with 0 rings, and at that point you're pretty vulnerable, so be careful. Supersonic in further games would be a little bit different, which is an improvement over Sonic 2, because jumping to turn to Supersonic is not a good idea. Pressing the jump button again in midair, or maybe pressing a different button entirely, is a very good idea, because you could actually control when it happens more effectively. In terms of 3D games, and actually lots of games after this one, the Chaos Emeralds would be collected in various ways, either special stages or via the plot, but usually Supersonic would be restricted to the last story. You can't turn into Supersonic within the stages for the most part until around Sonic Colors and past that. Kinda sucks. In this game there was originally gonna be Supersonic in stages, if I recall correctly. There was some Chao dialogue where she would say something like gather 50 rings and then press a certain button or something like that and you transform into Supersonic. I think that would have been pretty cool, transforming within stages, to have a bit of, overpowered fun. It's fun to cheat sometimes, but you could really only cheat with Sonic and maybe Knuckles if that were the case. Other characters don't really have canonical super forms. The thing about Last Story a lot of the time is that it's not really as action-packed as the other stories. Like, in further games it's usually maybe one stage and then the final boss fight. In this it's running around the adventure field a bit and then having the final boss fight. There's not a lot of gameplay, there's usually a lot of cutscenes, a lot of plot going on, and then the game ends after the final boss fight. As we saw previously, Angel Island has fallen back to the surface for some reason. Knuckles thinks it's because of the 6 Chaos Emeralds he grabbed after defeating Chaos 6. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but we'll roll with that for now. We need to get to Angel Island and meet up with Knuckles in order to progress with the plot here. Also, apparently Chaos has all of the Chaos Emeralds now. It's back, and it stole the one from Tails' Tornado 2, along with the ones that Knuckles took back with him. So now Chaos has all 7 and can achieve its perfect form. You probably have already seen the perfect form if you watched, like, the entirety of part 1 of any Sonic Adventure playthrough, really. Something a bit weird about this last story is that Sonic is the only one who really does anything. The other characters kind of lose all of their usefulness. Well, that was weird. Usefulness, excuse me, really. Sonic is the only one who really takes any action here. Even though we saw with the other playthroughs that the other characters are competent and can do things, they just kind of stop during the last story. And that's only really in this game, in my opinion. In other games, it's improved. The other characters actually do a lot of things. But in this game, it's just Sonic, primarily. Tikal has decided to take us back to the past again. And we get to see a little bit of why the Knuckles tribe, I think it's called the Knuckles tribe, was obliterated. Why Knuckles is the last echidna. It's because of the leader of the Knuckles tribe. I think his name is like Pachacamac. It's quite an odd name, but he wants the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emeralds because he's all greedy and such. He wants to have power. And so he decides to bash through Tikal and the Chao in order to gain access to it. Kind of, I don't know, kind of evil, I guess. Especially considering that the Chao aren't really evil or anything like that. They probably wouldn't be able to hurt anything except each other when it comes to Chao racing and karate. But that's about it. They're not harmful creatures. Instead, we have Chaos here, who is the harmful one. And for some reason, the Chaos Emeralds aren't really as big as they were before. They were super huge previously, but now they're just in their smaller size as they appear for the most part throughout the story. Something about Chaos that you might not know is that Chaos is actually a special Chao. At least I think that's how it goes. You can actually breed a Chao that looks a lot like Chaos in the Chao Garden, but it requires a lot of time, a lot more time than I'm willing to put in Sonic Adventure 1's Chao Garden. The Chao Garden stuff I might go into if I ever do Sonic Adventure 2, because I think it's more improved there, but we'll just have to wait for that. Tikal here kind of does something with the Master Emerald that makes it so Chaos isn't able to destroy the Knuckles tribe completely, I guess. She might be the reason why Knuckles survived. I don't know. The story's all over the place. And I like to imagine that Sonic was just kind of standing there doing nothing as that cutscene was going on. Because Tails says, Sonic, wake up, as that cutscene ends. It would make sense that Sonic just had this blank look on his face as he was taken to that flashback scene, which would make everyone like that. Everyone had that weird look on their face as Tikal was taking them back. Quick shortcut here. If you decide to jump off the edge and die, you'll be taken right back to the entrance of this area. And that gives you a very easy access to where we need to go next, which is where the Tornado 2 is. We saw in the cutscene that it's near Big's house, and of course, after playing Big's campaign, you'd know that he took the Tornado 2 off the egg carrier, so it makes sense that it's near Big's house or something like that. And there it is. Well,
so let's get the Chaos Emerald and leave.
Oh, I'm looking a bit wrong here. Apparently Chaos hadn't taken that last Chaos Emerald. He just left it there as he attacked Eggman or something. I don't know. With that though, we're locked in to the last part of last story. This is pretty much it. If you exit the game and come back, you'll appear, I think, right outside of that minecart area. That's the trigger for the final boss, so make sure you're prepared, although it doesn't take much to prepare for this final boss. And now we see the opening cutscene once again, so, you know, that happens once more. There's not really much to talk about. We've kind of seen this thing already. You know, actually there is something to talk about. We see the city get kind of destroyed by water and stuff like that. Places being exploderated. Nobody dies. At least I don't think anybody dies. I mean, it is a child-friendly game, so it makes sense that everyone's safe. Everyone got evacuated. So, E for everyone. That kind of big wave, the tsunami that came from behind, I like to think that that was actually from Angel Island. It just took a little while to reach Station Square. I don't like to think that it was Chaos that did that. After all, Chaos, I don't think would be able to do that. Well, maybe he would. He could just take the water from, like, Emerald Coast or something like that. I'm just kind of rambling to fill in time here. That's perfect Chaos right there. The big lizard thing. He looks so good in that CG cutscene, but now he just kind of looks really lame with his like 3 frame per second tentacle animations. And Eggman has returned with his new egg carrier. He made a second one. That's something to talk about for a little bit. Eggman doesn't really go by the name Eggman until after this game is over. In games after this, he goes by Eggman. Previously, it's just Robotnik for the most part. But in Japan, he's always been called Eggman. Like, that was his name, and all of his machines and stuff were egg things. Like, he has the E series of robots, and he has the egg carrier and his egg walker for Tails' final boss, the egg viper, you know? So, his name being Robotnik never really made any sense, in my opinion. I mean, it does in the context that he's a person who creates a bunch of robots and stuff, but he has an egg motif, and his name doesn't reflect that until after this game. So, just a little tangent for me to go on. There's a plane in the background. I apologize if you might be able to hear that. Tikal here explains a little bit about how she was sealed inside of the Master Emerald along with Chaos. She kind of sacrificed herself so that Chaos wouldn't rampage. We can kind of see that at the beginning of Knuckles' playthrough. When the Master Emerald breaks, both Chaos come out and a red fairy comes out. It's a very missable thing, but it just shows that Tikal was kind of there the whole time. And there aren't any stories that start before that beginning part of Knuckles' story, so I think it makes sense, like chronologically, that Tikal is in all the areas that she's in, even though she does appear twice sometimes, like gameplay Tikal and cutscene Tikal kind of being in the same area if there's a cutscene after a stage or something like that. That's just me kind of being a bit nitpicky over really nothing. But it gets a bit sappy here. Tikal is saying that Chaos's anger and sadness have been sealed up within the Master Emerald for all these years. And Sonic is saying things like, well, we can't just put him back in the Master Emerald. I mean, he's gonna be angry and sad forever if we do that. And we're getting a bit too, I don't know what the word is, but there's too much of it going on. Sappy is the word that I was looking for. Chaos used only the negative energy of the Chaos Emeralds, and he turned all the Chaos Emeralds dark. But he didn't use the positive energy, so now Sonic gets to use that in order to transform into Super Sonic. But it's just the way Tails says that our hearts form an awesome power. That's not really ever been the case with previous Sonic games. It's just been Sonic able to transform into Super Sonic because he has the Chaos Emeralds. There was no positive or negative thing about it. It's a bit too much, in my opinion. But now we get to play as not Super Saiyan Sonic. So, hooray. Along with Sonic's redesign, Super Sonic got redesigned a bit. Previously, all of his spines went up. Now, the center ones go down and the outer ones go up. Super Sonic was always able to turn gold from his blue color, but his eyes are red this time. In other games, his eyes would turn green from his completely black eyes, but now, with Sonic Adventure Sonic, his eyes are normally green, and they turn red when he turns into Super Sonic, separating him from the Super Saiyan stuff a little bit more, because Super Saiyans, they'd get golden hair, and they'd get green eyes from their completely black ones in most cases. As for this boss fight, Chaos likes to shoot a lot of things at you to obstruct you. The goal is to reach a very high speed. If Sonic has a blue aura in front of him, you're pretty good to go in terms of speed, although sometimes the yellow aura will be just enough. With the high speed, you need to run into Chaos, swirl up his body, and hit him on his head. In the first phase of the boss, it is very, very easy to avoid the projectiles that Chaos shoots at you. The purple things that come out don't really try to track your movement. They all go outwards, kind of, and then kind of curve back in. Not very difficult, but with phase 2, it gets a bit harder. Phase 1 was pretty much a tutorial for it. It ended a lot faster than it should have, honestly. And I kind of get stuck here, but let's not mind that. I'm talking. Phase 1 had a really good song playing, Open Your Heart, the theme of this game in general. Now they just play some evil sounding music for Chaos. As you go on with Chaos, he actually gets a bit easier in my opinion. Those red projectiles are honestly the hardest things to dodge, because they try to shoot for where you are and actually hit most of the time. These tornado things, you just kind of have to hug the side in order to avoid them, which is very easy to do. The timer still goes down for Supersonic. He still does run on rings, so you need to be collecting rings in order to sustain the form. And there are a bunch scattered about near the dash panels, but I miss a lot of them and I still end up getting to Chaos. His last attack is that big laser that he used on Eggman. Like with the tornadoes, you want to hug the side because the lasers go straight down the middle, so it's very easy to avoid. But that's the final boss of the game. That's Chaos done and dusted. Honestly, the hardest part about him is the first hit of the second phase. After that, he's really, really easy. Though it did take me quite a few tries for me to get a take as good as the one I just did. If you notice, my lives were at like 53 after I killed myself in order to warp back to where the Tornado 2 was, and now they're at 50. It only took me a couple tries, but you know, it's a bit difficult if you're not used to it, is all I'm trying to say. After playing it a couple times, I got it down pat, and it's not very difficult. Main complaint, the fact that Open Your Heart plays on the first phase, which is considerably shorter than the second phase, and the second phase has the more generic, evil-y music. There are future games that get that right. You know, one that a lot of people don't like, that people might say is the worst game in the Sonic series, they get it right. You know, the first phase has the generic music, and then the second phase, which is harder, has the actual theme of the game, although just an instrumental, orchestral version of the theme. You probably can guess what game I'm talking about by what I'm saying, if you are a Sonic fan. Anyway, because Supersonic is Supersonic and can do whatever he wants, Chaos has been neutralized. That's the word that they use. Chaos is now kind of good again. He's not gonna try and kill anyone anymore, although he does kind of try to do that in a future game. That's really a spin-off though, so it doesn't pertain to the main plot. But everything's all happy. Nobody's dead. They're gonna probably rebuild Station Square in the matter of a day or so, because we could just head back into any of the campaigns and Station Square will be intact. Although that's kind of cheating, I guess. That's a bit of time warpiness. And that pink bird there is Gamma. Well, was Gamma. So it's not too bad of an ending for him. He does return to the life that he once had, being a flicky and just flying around. That's it for Sonic Adventure. Sonic just runs off into the silver linings in the sky, and we get to hear a really good song. The first Crush 40 song that I ever heard. Open Your Heart. Probably the first Crush 40 song a lot of Sonic fans ever heard. It's a really good song. I'm going to have the lyrics in the closed captions as I usually do for this. But I guess I'll talk about the games and, well, the game and how I did with my commentary this time around. Overall, in the game, or on the game, I think the game is pretty good. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles campaigns are probably the best part of the game, but I don't mind going through Amy or Big. E102 Gamma is a bit above Amy and Big for me. Big is probably the lowest. As I said before, well, not every campaign, but a lot of them give you a sense of speed, or at least make you feel like you should be going fast. Sonic just goes fast naturally, so of course that one's kind of self-explanatory. Tails is racing, so you need to be fast. Knuckles is kind of fast on his own, especially the gliding. It's really fun getting around stages with that. Amy, you need to be fast because of the whole getting chased by Zero thing. E102 Gamma, you need to be fast because you're on a time limit. You also need to be pretty combo savvy so you could get a lot of time. So it's a bit more precise, but it's very engaging in my opinion. Big the Cat is the only low point in the game for me, and that's just considering that you don't go fast in it. You might not be moving fast, but I don't think it's horrible, you know? I didn't stop playing because of Big the Cat. Actually, I didn't stop playing ever. I completed this game like the whole way through the first time I played it. On to how I feel I did with this. In Ocarina of Time, I did a lot of stop and go commentary, by which I mean I paused my recording, I would think about what to say, and then I'd say it, and then once I ran out of whatever I was talking about, I'd pause it again, think about something else, and then continue talking on. In this game, I didn't do a lot of that, especially during the actual stages and such. As long as there was something going on screen, I would keep talking. So a lot of the videos were one take. The only times I ever did the whole stop and go thing was during the credits. Those were the only times when I ever did it. And well, not only, but for most of the credits I've done it. I'm not doing it for this one, and I'm not doing it for the Knuckles one. At least I didn't do it for the Knuckles one. Maybe just because I love Knuckles' theme so much, I don't know. I just kept thinking of things to talk about for that one. But overall, probably an improvement in terms of talking skills, I suppose. I'm still pretty lame, in my opinion, when it comes to the whole commentary thing. But I'm getting to learn how to do things more smoothly, you know? Learning how to think of things more on the fly, and then keep talking about them on the fly. Whereas in Ocarina of Time, it took me quite a while in order to get into that groove. And only like the first part and the last part were ones where I actually talked the whole way through in Ocarina of Time. So a bit of an improvement. Although I will say with Ocarina of Time it was a lot more interesting in my opinion. I don't go back to watch my own videos, but I feel that it was more interesting because due to the whole stop and go thing, I was always talking about something. In this one I just kind of found things to talk about during down times, and I did get a little bit more tangent-y than I wanted to a lot of the time, but overall not too bad. I feel like I did a pretty good job, and yeah. Well, there we go. I just ruined it for myself by saying and yeah. Anyway, that's the end of Sonic Adventure. Finished all of the campaigns, went through all the stages, and got to listen to all of the music, which is a great thing. Thank you for putting in the time to watch any part of this Let's Play, and I hope you enjoyed.